Greetings and welcome to Sonic Weekly Podcast, the show where we talk about Sonic with friends. My name is Bo. I'm at the controls again this week in for Grant, and I'm happy to be talking about Sonic with my friends. And one of those friends is the star of our show. It's David the Lurker. David, are you ready to talk about Sonic and Friends and how Silver's going to be in it?
Whoa, hi, Bo. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't talk about Sonic and Friends much on this show where we talk about Sonic with friends, but it's yeah, we can talk about Silver. What stunning lore implications this has. What does this mean about the world of Sonic and his friends? We're going to get into all of it. Of course, we're going to get into the latest Crossworlds news, which is just there's more news. It's never stopping. This game is never coming out. And we got plenty of things, but we're not going to do it alone. Like you said, it's Sonic Talk with friends, plural, and I'm just one person. So who else do we have in the hot seat today?
We have returning champion, series regular. It's Ryan. Arlan is here. Ryan, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be back. Talking about Crossworlds or whatever.
Right. You are becoming...
Or whatever.
Yeah. You are sort of the third chair at the moment while Grant is still babying about. Holding... Right. How long is a baby a newborn before it's like, well, it's not that new anymore?
That's a good question.
When does it become old baby?
Right. When is when does baby become old?
I'm gonna say 7 months.
That sounds about right.
Maybe you gotta sleep through the night event, and you're like, okay, we're entering a new phase here. That's my guess.
Okay.
Tying this back to Sonic and Friends. I'm not super familiar with Sonic and Friends. Are they babies or they just look like babies?
I think they just look that way. It's an art style because we've seen like Rouge is there, and Rouge is definitely not a baby. Rouge is Rouge, just in that style. So
their emojis come to life, really. Like they're just they're the little like cute Sonic things, and they just like to dance, and they like to dance in a way that you can only really watch it on TikTok because that's where like they can legally get the music for them to dance to. So the ones the little clips you usually get on like Twitter or Blue Sky are all like just completely mute instead.
Right.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Or they're story driven.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The story ones can get through. They're all just like little pot-bellied, little like Hello Kitty style characters, I guess.
Is it like a Virtua Fighter Kids situation where they are smaller and they have big heads, but Shun-Di is still an old man?
Pretty much. I mean, Rouge is there, but her body is still just a single circle, like every other character. So no adult version of that in this case. I think Eggman is kind of like the one sort of outlier where he's just a lot bigger than everyone else.
Right.
I keep trying to make it actual Muppet babies, and in this world, it would be the Sonic and Friends are the Muppet babies, and Eggman is the nanny, right?
Yeah,
you only see her legs.
In this case, it's like, there's a story. They have a storyline about there's a big blender, and they want to make a big fruit salad or something like that. But oh no, someone stole the fruit.
Someone stole it,
and it was Rouge or it was Shadow or something like that. So it's more just like a case of these are here to sell these plushies at the Sega store in Japan, I think, for the most part.
Right.
I wonder what Silver's going back in time to stop then. Like somebody stole his blueberries?
Well, I mean, it looks like Silver is in a desolate wasteland, which is a bit more high stakes than what we normally deal with. We saw the broken Miles Electric. That seems a little like, whoa, man. That means Tails is dead.
Yeah.
Which, why did he die? Who knows? But I guess for the more lore-minded out there, we do finally see how Silver goes back in time, which is a portal appears out of nowhere and he jumps into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I thought it would work. Although, I mean, we see him go back in time a few times in Sonic 06, right?
Yeah, but in Sonic 06, it's the catalyst is like there's Chaos Emeralds involved, there's other people involved. It was very like specifically. It was chaos control with 2 emeralds with 2 people who can do chaos control. So in a world where Mephiles isn't there or they don't accidentally chaos control, it's like, well, then how is it happening? How would he even know he can go back in time?
Yeah, it's all.
There's a few methods of time travel in that game. My favorite being Omega's slow method of time travel, where you just wait.
That's right. It is a good method. And he's good at waiting. So, right, so he waits. Does that mean that, like, when Omega goes, okay, I will wait, that that same Omega is the one who tracked down Shadow and captured him and forced Shadow to be in the crucifix position? But Shadow didn't go, hey, do you have a Chaos Emerald on you I could use?
There's a lot of unresolved questions there.
Right, and then Omega's like, oh, I have captured you, but I'm also meant to rescue you from the future, but I guess I'll just sit here and wait and not think about the fact that I captured you in the first place. So many things to think about. If the game was a perfect time loop, then we'd understand why, but it's not, because they do actively change the past at one point. Whoops. Except all the times when they don't.
I've never understood Sonic 06 in any sort of capacity.
Right.
It's like, sure, yep, stuff happens.
I've seen people try to explain it, and I've seen people who are like, well, this is what it is, and the explanations I always see, I'm like, no, I think that's wrong. I think you're wrong as to how it works. Because also...
You're trying to make this make sense.
Right. Because there is someone who laid out a thing where it was like, oh, it eventually becomes a loop, but it doesn't start as a loop. It eventually just gets there. And I'm like, okay, but you're doing a lot of assumptions for how time changed before it gets to a loop that's not in the game. So I think you're making stuff up. And then you also said, hey, I'm ignoring the end of the game because the end of the game contradicts what you just said. But what you said, you're saying makes sense, even though the game breaks what you said. So you're wrong. Don't pretend like you're right.
Yeah.
I'm calling out someone. It's a very specific thing that I won't get into details with. But to me, 06 is a loop until it's not. And maybe the only one who can actually change the loop is Mephiles. But then you have to ask the question, why doesn't Mephiles just do something on his own? Why does he construct this complicated plan to make Elise cry when he probably could just go back in time and scare her? As a kid.
Steal a doll.
But we're not here to talk about Sonic 06. We're here to talk about Silver's 5 seconds of fame. I saw somebody comment that this is the first time we've seen Silver animated in anything, like, I guess, outside of his game appearances.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, he was not in any of the Shadow stuff, and he wasn't in any of the Team Sonic Racing.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe like intros in the Mario and Sonic games.
Right, he
might
might
about as close as you get, but not like any of this animated stuff that they've done.
Right, none of the animated stuff. He wasn't in Sonic X. He didn't show up in Boom or Prime. Like, Silver's just been out there, out in the cold. But now Sonic and Friends is like, we're bringing him in. We're getting Silver before. Well, I mean, I guess
Blaze,
we got Silver
certainly
before Blaze. Yeah. The chaotic. Have any of the chaotic shown up in these Sonic and Friends shorts? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Isn't it just like the core cast, Shadow, Rouge, and now Silver? I think that is right. I don't think there's been any other characters in that instance, and they sort of have some personalities in it. Like whenever they do a dance, Knuckles is like one step slower than everyone else, and that's like being very consistent. Where he's trying to dance, so he just doesn't necessarily know it. He's a bit dumb, and so that's how they do that. I'd be curious how they make Vector like just a pot-bellied character in this case, because his whole like body melds with his neck, right? So like I don't know how he'll necessarily work in that case.
Has the only portrayal of Knuckles as a smart, cool guy been the OVA? Because in all the other ones, he's kind of the dumb guy.
Yeah, I mean, because in Underground, he certainly... Yeah.
I just thought of how he's drawn in Underground and laughed.
That's all you need.
Maybe he's like slightly smarter in Prime, I guess, or one of his variants in Prime.
Yeah, okay.
And that's another one where like Silver does not appear as a character at all. So
right.
Like Commando Knuckles or whatever it is, he tends to be rather smart, I think.
Oh, in New York City.
That's the one.
Yeah, and right, because Jungle Knuckles, he's pretty dumb. They make him pretty dumb.
Yeah, he kind of ruins things at one point, right?
Yeah.
Pirate Knuckles is a pain in the ass or whatever.
Yeah.
Knuckles the Dread or something.
Right. So I guess he's not dumb. He's just very narrow focused.
Yeah.
The pirate one. I don't know.
And Movie Knuckles isn't necessarily dumb. He's just naive.
He's very naive, and he's just stuck that way.
And very literal-minded. Yeah.
Right. Maybe if he grew up in an island that had a zone that was perhaps themed after a carnival.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be more well-rounded.
Or even just a floating island generally, because that's just not the case at all in the movies.
Right. There is no float. We haven't seen a floating island yet. Maybe when they end it, he'll find it and he'll be like, "This is where I will die." And it's like, "Well, Knuckles, you're not going to die for a while, right?" And he's like, "True, but this is where I've decided I will die, so I cannot leave until I am dead." It's like, Knuckles, Yep, that's my pitch, Pat Casey. I know you're listening. That's how we're going to end.
Come on the show anytime. Pat or Josh. Or anybody on the movie crew.
That's
we'll
right.
Be
we could
very
listen
judicious with any spoilers you get to.
I was listening to Josh's podcast because they were doing a bunch of his podcast is what the best movies never made. It's him and some other guy who I forget. But Pat Casey and somebody else who now I forget. They were all on it. It was a fearsome foursome because they were doing a bunch of Superman stuff, going through like the original draft of Superman the movie and some of the other unmade Superman stuff. And I was like, oh, we could just get him on here and talk about Superman. Pat Casey seems to have read it back when I read it, so we could talk about 80s and 90s.
Cue it up. Let's tell our booker.
Right, it'll be just as highly rated as our Mortal Kombat episode with him.
I, for one, enjoyed that one quite a bit.
It was good. If you haven't listened to it, I recommend to the listeners, just go back, have a bit of fun. It's fun. Just like Sonic and Friends, it's fun. And that's how we get back to that.
We're reeling it back in. All right, we're going to go to the news of the week, which is sort of similar to the news of all
every
the weeks
week.
Before that. There's Cross Worlds still coming.
What else
There's
is fun?
Talk.
It's Cross. That's right. We've had another installment of Crosstalk. Crosstalk number 6. Sonic and Tails are back in the hot seat, and who are they talking about behind their back? Why, it's the Chaotix, Vector, SBO, and Charmy, where we are informed that, hey, this is the first time SBO and Charmy are in one of these racing games. And you're like, oh, yeah, I guess so. We've had Vector, who for some reason was just teamed up with
Blaze.
Oh, who was he with? Yeah, like in Team Sonic Racing, just
it was with Blaze and Silver.
Blaze and Silver,
where it all sort of broke. Team. It sort of just broke the whole like heroes team mentality. It was like, well, okay,
Blaze and Silver makes sense.
Yeah, but like but get Marine back or something along those lines.
Right, Marine makes the most sense. She's with Blaze. She's supposed to be Blaze's Tails, even though we've only seen her the one time. Yeah, so they get to talk about it. We also see a hint of another level. The what is it? It's a pumpkin town. Is it Pumpkin Hill, or is it just some pumpkins?
It seems to be maybe a mix. It's sort of a more like the vibe of a Pumpkin Hill and maybe a Hang Castle type thing from Sonic Heroes.
Right. So
it's something with a pumpkin patch at the very least, which is like, hey, they haven't not really gone back to that since Adventure 2, really, where there was a lot of that sort of stuff going on, and the ghosts are everywhere too.
All right. I wonder if it's
What's the last game Charmy was in?
I was actually thinking about that too. The last time you could actually like play as him outside of like maybe Sonic Forces mobile games was probably Heroes. Like he has not actually been playable since. Every like racing game he's not been available. SBO last time he was probably playable was probably Rivals 2, where he's a character in that.
Right.
But like Charmy, even in this case, like Charmy's always been like Charmy and SBO in the Mario and Sonic games has been like referees.
Right.
Like they're never actually like playable characters. It's always been Vector because we need a big brawny guy as one of the selectable characters, a heavy.
Right.
But otherwise, Espio and Charmy have just not really been playable at all.
So yeah, now they're back. They're back in the saddle, back in the car. They're in a car. They're driving cars. Sonic and Tails seem scared of Charmy at the end. I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Just a manic child in behind the wheel.
Right. Like I would trust Cream with a driver's license. I don't know about Charmy.
Yeah. There's been a lot of, I mean, one things we can sort of talk about as well as like there's been, the network test is about to, we're about 3 hours away from it being officially launched, but people have been like, sneaking around in the game already and like finding ways for it to be played offline. And a lot of the most fun stuff that's been coming about that is just like these character interactions and just seeing like what apparently Storm can't see shit. Apparently Storm is blind. He mistakes Shadow for Sonic. He mistakes Sonic for Shadow. He's just very confused for both of those. I think Cream tricks him into thinking he needs to do homework. He seems like very afraid of Amy. Like Storm actually seems to have a personality here, which has never been really seen before.
I do think the game is starting to feel more real and not just a series of advertisements with no reference. And I think the fact that the data miners are getting in and looking at stuff does make me see, it seems to me more like, yes, this is going to be a thing I can play soon.
Absolutely. It seems like there's a lot of people who are really excited, people who have played it, and I'm excited to play it quite soon. It just actually looks like a lot of fun. And I was pretty disappointed with Team Sonic Racing like 5 years ago. So the fact that they've really turned it around here and seemingly have made a fantastic game, by all accounts, is really cool.
I hope it sells well because I want Sonic to do well. Although if it sells so well that they think like, yes, this is going to be the marketing strategy from here on out, where we do just wall to wall for like a year and a half. Man, I don't know.
Right. Well, I think, didn't Izuka mention that they're adding like every month they're going to add something new to this game? They already have an extended content delivery system in place that where, even though there is stuff that has been data mined, there is still other stuff that's been definitely gutted from it. So we haven't seen everything.
Honestly surprised that with how much data mining stuff is in there, that there isn't just and here's literally every character that would be in the game, in some sort of text file. It seems like that is just not there, which usually is what happens in these cases, where it's like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's like, here's just all the characters that are going to be in the DLC or something like that in some text file. But none of that's there. So good on them for figuring that out, but at the same time, people have done some hacking, and now you can play as Freddy Fazbear or something in there. I've seen people are doing already some like character swaps on some stuff.
Wow! Even before,
I'm sure they know people are gonna figure that stuff out.
Like, never underestimate the Sonic fan base in terms of hacking through your game.
Right, the only game that a Sonic fan couldn't hack is one they didn't release. And even then, some people have been fiddling around. Once upon a, Sonic Extreme, still have hopes. One day it's going to come out. Did Sega ever officially cancel it? Did they ever put out a press release that said Sonic Extreme isn't coming out? I don't think so. So yeah, we've got the usual stuff. There was also a song jamming mix, just like they did a couple weeks ago. Funky tunes. Didn't listen to it. But what do we got? Another DJ mix by Canon Oguni? Probably not. I didn't listen to it.
I haven't heard this one yet. I'm looking forward to putting it on. Is this one just like a few minutes also, like the previous one?
About 5-ish minutes, I think. But it does have like, it has like one of the music in there. I don't know if you spoke about it last week, but like they sort of showed Hidden World or Secret World from Sonic Lost World is in here, which is like, that's like, you could not get any more obscure of a level to make about a thing, particularly like Lost World, where when I saw it, I was like, what are these weird fuzzy Pac-Men with teeth running around? And it's like, I guess it's
that is a weird bonus level.
It's kind of ugly. I'll say it's not the best looking level. It's very splotchy and like the wrong colors are all over the place. But I guess that's Zavok's stage in this game, right? So it's what I guess the Lost Hex looks like now.
Maybe where he was born. Maybe that's his dad. We don't know what the other Zavoks look like.
Yeah, they're born from the Pac-Men, from the Baku Bakus.
Okay, what's better, the Zeddy or baked ziti?
Not a big Italian casserole person.
Would you eat a ziti zeddy?
Whoa.
Zeddy ziti.
I feel like that'll probably be in the Sonic cookbook. There's surely been a Sonic cookbook with chili dog recipes.
I don't know if I've seen that though.
There was a recent one. I did not purchase the Sonic cookbook, but there's some flavor text in there. Is it canon? I guess. At this point, I guess everything's canon, except Chronicles and Ken Penders himself, Pocket Adventure.
I sometimes do Sonic. I do some Sonic social media stuff for them, so maybe I'll pitch them a ZDZ, and we'll see that in 6 months, and we'll see how that goes.
Right. It should be a video of you eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing. It's life size. I want to see how long it takes you to eat Zavok.
Has there been a Zavok plush that I can use that will eat a baked ziti?
Is there? I mean, Great Eastern has released a few random plushes over. I don't know if they've done a Zavok.
I don't recall seeing one. They love to put Zavok in a game, but I haven't seen him in stuffed animal form.
I guess the only other cross-world news that we're going to wring out of this is, hey, guess what? Hatsune Miku. She's in it. She's in the game. And they're going on. She's also seems to be the only DLC character who has a voice because she's not a person.
She's Sega's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have to. They can make her say anything they want. But there is a
the Like a Dragon ones aren't voiced, right? So
yeah,
right.
So
right.
It's just an odd one, I guess, in this case.
Azuka went on record.
Having Pac-Man not talk makes sense, right? You can make him make Pac-Man noises, and I would be like, yeah, sure, that's absolutely what he would be doing in this game anyway. But yeah, I'd like to see the other characters speak, and especially like it sort of is, I guess, might be hard to get the SpongeBob guy, but he's also, they've got like a new SpongeBob game every year that's coming out that has it, and I'm hoping it might be a Nicktoon All-Stars situation where the original version of the first game didn't have any voices, and then they actually added them post-release. If this game does well enough, then it's like, all right, let's actually like have SpongeBob speak to Silver and talk about bubbles or something.
Right. Right. Azuka did say, I thought I had it open. I guess I don't. Right. Basically, hey, to make things easier, the fact that we're dealing with so many different companies, we're going to have third-party characters just silent so that they don't have to sign off on things, and we have to like a lot of back and forth of what's okay to say and what's not okay to say because all these characters are saying so many different things to each other. It does feel like there could have been a simpler way to go about it. Like,
how about you guys send us the dialogue?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even like just don't let them have full sentences. I think it would be a lot easier to just have SpongeBob say, "I'm ready," and nothing else.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. So
if they didn't have rival dialogue, I'd understand. But as long as they were just doing like, or whatever, then that would be fine. I'm sure they have a backlog of, I don't know, with the Avatar ones, like if it's Zuko or something, then he'd probably be in there saying stuff.
Right, and also with the Sega characters, it feels like Sega should be able to talk to Sega and figure that out. But that's what he said. That's what's on the record. If that's actually 100% true, we don't know. But I'm going to say it. I have my doubts. Why not? I look at you, Azuka. I see ya. Either way, that's the reason. But yeah, but Hatsune Miku, she can say whatever she wants. And they are doing a promotion where for the next 5 weeks? There's 5 new Hatsune Miku songs coming out. that are tied into this game. So we're gonna have a good time. What is this song called? It's called "I Love Gen C Runner," and Sonic's there. I haven't listened to it. Why not?
I really don't know anything about Hatsune Miku.
Right.
This is a total blind spot for me.
I know there's some other Crossworld song that came out, which we didn't report on. Where basically it's some Japanese pop EDM group. They're like, we did a song for it. I should have written this down.
Deep dive on Busted, but
not very good at my job, I guess. A job of keeping up with the Sonic news. That's what we're doing.
Well, before we leave the Crossworlds portion of the news, actually, we're going to leave the Crossworlds portion of news. Before we leave news altogether, there is Sonic Rumble news. They're adding Sega characters to this game that most people can't play. I saw Pango. I saw Bonanza Brothers. I saw Rappy from Phantasy Star.
I really appreciated all these like very classic characters. Back on the Sega Forever days, we sort of had Pango as our like unofficial mascot, I think.
Yeah,
and
that's
trying to like use them a bit.
That's the spin-off Sonic game I want, is like a reimagined Pango.
In Sonic the Fighters, there is an unused model of a Pango. Like as maybe a back, he would have maybe shown up as a background character in the Aurora Fields or something like that. And he's the whole like red penguin with green beak sort of stuff. But I guess he just wasn't used.
Huh. I haven't seen that. And there's a famously unreleased Clockwork Knight game that's kind of a Pango style game, right?
That's right. Sonic also does appear in the Mega Drive Pango game, where the front cover has 100 Pangos on it, and Sonic just happens to also be in that cover as well. They just hit it.
Love Pango. Bring Pango back. I'm glad Pango's in Sonic Rumble.
Robo and Moto in there as well, I guess, which is the Bonanza Brothers. I actually really liked playing as them in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing.
Yeah.
I'm the player. I'm the person who, like, in these racing games, likes to play the stupidest, most obscure character in it. And so I played a lot of Robo and Moto online.
Who's your pick in Transformed then? Football Manager? Or?
I guess now, yeah. I didn't play. I played a lot of it on 360, so maybe it was like Wreck-It Ralph or something like that. There's so many in that, like Shinobi, Joe Musashi, and stuff like that. I can't remember who would have I normally played.
Sonic.
Nah, you never play Sonic in these games.
Are you going to tell me now that you never play as Mario in Mario Kart?
I play as like if I play it, it's like always is it Lemmy? I think like one of the Koopa kids in Mario Kart 8 is the one I play, and Waluigi, because of course
okay.
I want to wire all over the place.
Just as long as you clean up after yourself. The song I was trying to think of, it's called Number One, and it's by Crazy Raccoon.
Oh.
And I guess that's just going to be somewhere in there.
It's not a Sonic R cover, is it?
No, it's just some random song. It's not a Sonic cover.
I would love it if it were a Sonic R cover.
Right. There's not enough Sonic R stuff in this game. They should just put all the Sonic R levels. You could make them. You could make a one giant Sonic R level.
So in something Transformed, the Ocean View song, does that have a Sonic R riff in it, or is it just there's a bit of a back in time is a little bit in
Back in Time is in Sky Sanctuary.
In Sky Sanctuary, but I can't remember if Ocean View also
has
because you can do
Sonic,
anything
you can do
on
anything,
that.
Yeah.
Which is now weird because now that's the song in all Racing Transformed and also Team Sonic Racing, and it's still the song here, but it's not the Seaside Hill music.
Right.
Right. It's just like somehow the Sonic CD music became the music of a Sonic Heroes level in these racing games.
They should have a track that is around Never Lake.
That would be cool. I like that idea.
You could like drive up the mountain. You could like grind on. Yeah, grind up that chain.
They've shown off that level in there's like a level from Sonic Superstars.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that goes through all the different sort of levels. So it's not just like the bridge zone or whatever it's called, but like it has all of them in there. It'd be cool if there was. Well, there's not really any other classic stuff, right? So in this case,
No.
there's no Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles or CD level, which that would be nice, at least some retro stuff in there. But I don't know, maybe if this game does well, they'll be having a whole classic pack or something.
Yeah, hopefully. It does make you wonder if that is being saved, and because there's not even classic Sonic in here. It feels
There's a ton of references, yeah, and it would be weird if they stopped those references at 2003.
Yeah.
The first level, like the E Stadium, has like a motorbug and a buzz bomber in like the background, which they actually look quite cool because they're actually like really consistent to what they look like in the Sonic 1. While like if you look at like when they release a motorbug now, it just looks completely different to.
Oh, so they didn't use the island camera one from Origins. Wait, is actually a motorbug in there? Maybe it's not.
They've done a lot of. Well, they're all like usually a bit more bug-eyed.
Yeah.
And a bit more fluoro, a bit like brighter. But the ones in the E Stadium are like consistent with the color of Sonic 1 motobugs and stuff. While usually they've been very Lost World based.
Yeah, that's
they're a lot more
cartoony
cartoony
really
and
had a lot
bug-eyed
of
and stuff.
We're gonna do our Lost World episode eventually.
Right. I think we did do it, but we lost it. Ha ha. Yeah. Well, if that is all the news, we could do a Bonanza Brothers episode, right? We should do that.
Bonanza Brothers, Cybershell just did a Tempo video. Let's do a Tempo episode.
Oh.
Go find all those Tant and Puzzle
yeah, there you
games
go.
with all the Bonanza Brothers. Puzzle in Action, I think it's called.
Right. Well, but if we are done with the news, I guess we should.
I think we should throw to Barry. Barry, what's up?
Nothing. Wow, thanks, Barry.
Hey there, Sonic Weekly listeners. Barry here, recording from Cape Canaveral. Why? Well, with the tie-in to outer space, the next Sega Talk episode talks about Star Trek, the arcade game from Sega in 1983. I flew all the way out to Cape Canaveral just to record this to tell you to listen to the latest episode of Sega Talk because it's out there, outer space. All right, this is what happens when I don't write anything down and just do it off the cuff. All right, bye.
And we're back. Thank you, Barry, for that promo. Now's the part of the show where we talk about retro gaming. Not that we weren't doing that before, but we're going to talk about my adventures in slightly not safe for work or edgier material. So this week I took a look at the Saturn and PlayStation game called Formula Karts Special Edition. This was made by a developer that made, I think, 3 kart games and then went out of business. So they really liked kart games and then nothing else. That developer was Manic Media Productions. Anyway, they put some cheat codes in their Formula Karts game. A couple of them have been known for ages and ages, but this sequence has not. So you go to enter your name. If you put in farty pants, yeah, farty pants, it will do something special.
That's very mature.
Which is, it will say, hey, why don't you put your name in again? Like, I'm not going to take farty pants, you try again. And then if you put in 3 other names, which I presume these make sense to a UK audience. There's one that's Oxford. Okay, got it. Another is Dunstew, and another one is Bladon? I don't know. Anyway, these give you power-ups. You can unlimited boost and better grip and unlimited fuel.
Whoa.
You know, nice cheat codes if you want to cheat at this kart racing game that doesn't star a bunch of Sega characters. That's cool. But, the notable thing about this is you've got to type out farty pants. A lot of giggles in the comment section on this one.
Yeah. I love giggling and I love wearing pants. But that wasn't your only adventure. I heard it got a little steamy up in orbit around Saturn.
Yeah, that was the Saturn and PlayStation content for the week, and then there's some PlayStation only content. All right, you guys remember a few weeks ago I looked at the ET game,
mm-hmm.
And inside of that game was a hidden message that the ESRB didn't know about, which said, fuck off Osama bin Laden. And so I corresponded with one of the developers of that, and he sent me back the laughing emoji I think I mentioned before when I showed it to him. And he said, okay, you think that's funny? Go check out Knockout Kings for the PlayStation. And so I went and I checked it out. And I said, oh, I found if you hold the shoulder buttons on both PlayStation controllers, you get a nice little movie that shows the credits. And that's a fun little Easter egg. I bet nobody knew about that. And he said, no. Look again. And so I looked again. And so this is like a boxing game, right? So you start your bout, and what happens at first is you've got a ring girl, and during the different rounds of the boxing match, she holds up a card and says what round it is. In this game, there's a different ring girl every time. You get a different outfit, you get a different hairstyle. But here, let me make sure I get this right. If you start a game with no memory card,
okay,
and then you try to create your own boxer, and then you go to save it to the memory card that's not inserted, you'll get an error message. And if you hold the L1 button on the PlayStation controller for like 30 seconds, eventually the border on the error message will turn yellow. And if you keep holding L1 and hit start, then when you start fighting with your new boxer, that ring girl will not have any clothes. And this says slipped past the sensors and slipped past the ESRB and has been unknown until now.
Until now. Now you've forced it to get an adult only rating.
They're gonna pull whatever copies of this off the shelves.
You're doing God's work. Is this like, I mean, there's always been talk of nude codes. Is this the only, like, what games have actually had a secret nude code? And I mean, I guess like there's been a few, like the Naughty Dog game has a thing to get some boobs on the main screen of like some Amiga game or something. But like this might be the only PlayStation one that actually does have some sort of nude code thing.
Yeah, I was curious about that because famously Tomb Raider doesn't really have it. There was a fan mod, and then the Grand Theft Auto game does have like the hot coffee, very adult content in it, but you can't get to it from in the game. PC modders had to patch it back in. And I think that was like kind of the end of cool Easter eggs in games. I think all the studios said, all right, no more hiding stuff after that. But yeah, as far as I know, this is the only real one you can do that in.
Wow.
And I thought it was just like, oh, we took the texture away and you just see the polygons underneath. But no, there's some detail in there that's a little bit more apparent if you get a lighter hair color on the random roulette wheel. I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
So yeah, they spent some time on this.
That's where most of the budget went, I think, right?
There were a bunch of Knockout King games as well, but I think only one made by this team.
Yeah, I was surprised that there was quite a few of them because I know of Fight Night.
Right,
that's what happened after Knockout King.
Yeah.
Or I was confused if it was like Victory Boxing. There's like a couple of other different ones I remember, but never really Knockout Kings as like one of those things. But like I guess EA just made a whole heap of different sports games at some point.
Right.
If you look into like even on Saturn, but especially PlayStation, there are a lot of hard to distinguish sports games. Like you got your various NBA games of all the different years, but then like how many games are there just called F1 Racing or F1 Championship or F1 Grand Prix? It's like a dozen of them. Sometimes it's the same developer across consoles, sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
I guess they sold well enough to do one every year, but
lots of like just especially car games where it's like, I don't know, Lamborghini Challenge maybe, or like that sort of stuff. It's like, all right, sure, we got one car type. Let's just make a game out of this, or Beetle Adventure Racing or something like that. It's like this only came out on the 64, I guess, and even that game has a weird. I know of Beetle Adventure because there's actually a special Australian-only version of that game called HSV Adventure Racing, which they just change all the Beetles to be Holden cars instead.
How many Australian exclusive games can you think of?
The first one's Aussie Rules Footy. that is an NES game which is about the Australian rules football sport. There was also Shane Warne Cricket on the Mega Drive. I think in other countries it's Brian Lara Cricket, and then they made they changed it to Shane Warne, and then they put the Waltzing Matilda song on the title screen. That's all Australia knows, just Waltzing Matilda. There's a bunch of and more Aussie rules football, rugby games, all that sort of stuff. Some of them are still very Australian exclusive in that way.
So there's no right. There is no exclusive Crocodile Dundee game. Like they really just thought
not that my knowledge of it.
Is there a Crocodile Dundee game? There's surely a 2D platformer, right? Like a Super Nintendo game.
Maybe an Amiga game. I would have to think an Amiga Crocodile Dundee game.
Right. I want one that takes place between 2 and 3. Right.
They just take Bayou Billy and then just switch it up or something.
Right. What was Mr. Dundee himself ever prime minister? Was he ever just in charge of Australia? Paul Hogan, that's his name.
That's his name. No, I think he didn't really end up doing a whole lot, and then Crocodile Hunter took over the Australian things. Actually, one last thing I'll say, one of my favourite Australian-only exclusive weird things is there's a game called Baby T-Rex that was being developed by Beam Software in Australia. This eventually became Radical Rex on the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, but they shipped around this Baby T-Rex game, which was a Game Boy game.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is that game got five or six different versions of it, but they just changed what the character was. So in America, it's We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. In other countries, it was like a Ed the Duck or something like that. And in Australia, there was a game called Agro Saw, and Agro was a morning cartoon puppet character that was in between the cartoons. But he had an exclusive Australian-only Game Boy game called Agrosaur.
Agrosaur. Wow. That's a good title. I say put him in Crossworlds.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Well, that's all the adult content I have for this week. This weekend, I'm going to do a cheat code for Sega Rally 2, so get a good Sega racing game.
Is there a nude code in that? Like the car, takes off the hood?
Never before seen. What's that rated? Probably E for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like it would be T for teen. But all right, that's enough of the Rings of Saturn and adult not safe for work content. We brought Ryan here because he was just at the Sonic EXPO and saw some sights, saw some sounds, and made some sounds that people listen to. Tell us about your adventure in the Sonic EXPO.
Yeah, so I went to the Sonic EXPO in Atlanta. This is the first Atlanta Sonic EXPO that's been on. Previously, there was the Sonic and Sega Fan Jam that was in the 2010s, and then there was one in 2022. But now they've sort of culminated collectively together as part of the Sonic EXPO group. So they've done the Sonic. They have one in Dallas the last few years, and now this was the first one in Atlanta. And it was actually, it was a lot of fun. They had some really cool guests, a lot of voice actors, like the voice of Silver, the voice of the current voice of Tails.
Colleen was there. Great.
Colleen was there, yes. I can't. Here's the thing. I go to these things, and when there's oh, cool, here's a voice actor, it's like, I don't want to bother them. I'll just leave them alone, which is not why they're there. They want me to give them money so that they can give me an autograph of their autograph. But I end up just sort of going, I'll just leave them alone and talk to people. But they had a bunch of voice actors there, which was really cool. Had a lot of Q&As going on there. Some really fun talks. There was a talk by, there's a woman called Viv, goes by Viv Ripple. They did a Nights into Dreams retrospective there that was quite cool. They're really into the Nights into Dreams series. There was like a big quiz night thing. I went to and then I also did a talk there. I did an hour-long talk about the history of Sonic fan games. Having worked and started Sonic Fan Games HQ, I wanted to go through how all that sort of started and where we're at now. And that was really, really cool. And people seem to really like it.
Yeah, so can you give us a little précis of the early history of Sonic fan games? Because the story I know and the way I remember it, and you tell me if this is right, is that the first Sonic fan game was Sonic Boom! By Martin Braid. I played it. You have Sonic. He's hand drawn in Microsoft Paint. And Tails is there, and he throws apples at maybe insects. I forget exactly.
It might be
what
tomatoes at insects, at bees, at bees coming at you.
But is that right? Is that the first?
Pretty much. I mean, it is pretty much the first Sonic fan game. It's one of those things now. Like in retrospect, there were some other different fan games that people had made, but it wasn't part of. They weren't part of like this, like people being online and doing this. There's a small one that like that was done for the like Sharp X68000 mini Sonic that was like a little demo. Like I can make a Sonic fan game. There was a Amiga demo called Blaze that apparently they made, but like this was not like online I'm playing this type stuff. It wasn't part of the culture of the fan game community. So like Sonic Boom was like the first one really that was like online, because that was like 95, I think, when that came out. And so we went through the history, bit of history of like Sonic fan games and what you might have been going on website wise, and then going through Sonic Boom and like Tails and the quest for 100 rings, and
I remember that.
Sonic the Fast Revelation and Sonic Time Twisted, and all these sorts of all these games, and then going through the middle era of like Sonic Mega Mix, people being able to figure out hacking and putting Big the Cat into Sonic 2. And then there's the more modern stuff where there's like so many different Sonic fan games out there now that are trying some really cool stuff. I went through some of the history of Evening Star and some of the Sonic Mania devs and what they had worked on, and showed their prototypes of where they got to the point of the retro engine now being like a thing for Sonic CD and Mania and Origins Plus. And showing off sort of like what people are now doing 3D wise and not just 2D games too.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. So I guess when I remember first looking at it, it was like people teaching themselves how to use this tool. It was called Click and Play at the time. And that's still around today, right?
So
it's not anybody's favorite, but
well, there's Click and Play. That was the first iteration of it, and then there was Click and Create, or the Games Factory. There was like two different versions of it, I think, for different regions of the world. That then became Multimedia Fusion, and now even today you can. It's still being updated, and you can get Fusion 2 on like Steam to develop games, and like those games can go onto like the Switch now. Like they have Click Team still exists, I believe so. All the Five Nights at Freddy's games were made in Click Team Fusion.
Oh, cool!
So those games were were all made on the same stuff that these old games were made in.
Oh, wow!
It's like a lineage you can trace back to 90.
Yeah,
right.
4, 5, 6.
It's all like FMV things and like very small things like moving, but like that's what those games were sort of made in, and then that allowed them to like, all right, we need to port these to the Switch. let's devise a way to actually like export our games to be on like all these different platforms and stuff.
David, what's the Sonic fan game you've spent the most time with?
I don't know. That's a good question.
For me, I don't know if it's the most time, but I thought the Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit from a few years ago was so good, so well done, and I really enjoyed it.
Right, that definitely sticks out to me. There was before and after the sequel where I think they had really good soundtracks. They were fun for the time, even if level design isn't the most Sonic now. But it's like you got to forgive certain things where it's like you're just trying to make a game, and the fact that Sonic Before the Sequel is a full game, I think, is pretty wild by itself. Like especially at that point. What was that recent one? Was it called Sonic Time Twisted? I played that a bit too. I thought that was pretty. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty fun too. I know there's a lot of like 3D Sonic fan games out there. I don't know how many of them are actually like done, and how many of them are just sort of. Well, they exist, and there's a few levels. I know like Sonic Worlds as a collective is very I don't know. What is the best 3D Sonic fan game? I mean, I guess you would probably say Sonic Roboblast 2, but we're going to ignore Roboblast 2 right now because that is like eternal, right? That is an eternal thing. A modern 3D Sonic fan game. If somebody said I want to play a modern 3D fan game, and it's not Roboblast 2 and it's not Big's Big World, what would you suggest?
I would probably say Sonic GT. It's a nice, pretty solid one. I think you play Sonic and Mighty. It's got boss battles in it. The team that made that one are the guys who then went to are now making Roland Rascal. They had their own Kickstarter to like make their own game, action-packed, very fast, Sonic-style 3D game, and that looks pretty cool too. So I would probably say that. I mean, technically, I guess Spark, Electric Jester 2 and 3 are kind of Sonic fan games, really. If you just sort of blur your eyes a little bit and change the color of a character from yellow to blue, they're pretty solid too. And yeah, I think the last one I fully played was Sonic Triple 16-bit, and Sonic the Fallen Star is also a really good one as well, with like a really cool aesthetic to it.
Yeah, that one looks really nice. I haven't played through it though.
Right, I played a little bit of it. I didn't finish it, but I did. I liked the look of it.
Yeah, I still go back to there was a demo of a game called Sonic versus Darkness that is still one of my favorite fan game demos I've ever played, and it's basically like what if Sonic Rush, but like 2D with like in a widescreen format, and that I think plays extremely well. At this expo as well, Spicy Gyro were there. They were showing off their Polyroll Pocket game, which is they've made Panic Porcupine and Polyroll, which are very sort of Sonic adjacent games. And so Polyroll Pocket is this game is made to look like a Game Boy Color game, basically. So that's really cool. And also the Chow Mix and the team behind Star Garden were also there. Star Garden is like a Chow Garden meets Kirby's Air Ride city trial mode. Now that Kirby Air Riders is coming out, I think this game might actually like blow up a lot more than they might expect. It's like, oh, we all want to play City Trial, but we don't have a Switch 2. Let's try this demo here.
Right. So you saw the sights and you saw the sounds. Just mingling about when you weren't talking about fan games. What's something that struck out to you, like a super fancy cosplay, or maybe someone busted a move in the middle of the auditorium? It's not an auditorium; it's wherever it was. I don't know. It was a hotel, right?
There was a Sonic rave, I guess, and I was there for about 5 minutes. And like, I'm too old for this. I'm leaving. Or it's like I'm not going to spend that much money on a cocktail while here. But there was a really good. There's a lot of really good cosplay. I think there was a guy dressed in like a really good Omega costume, where like he could actually make his like turret flip around and stuff like that. I think I saw a Tangle there, which was cool. Getting really obscure into some really obscure, well, more obscure characters in this instance. And a lot of Amy's actually. There was a lot of people who had made giant hammers to bring to this thing. There was one that was like so big, it was like bigger than a person that they brought as well.
Wow. Did all the Amy's get together and chase after a Sonic and then, I don't know, beat him to death with those hammers?
I'm sure they did.
Oh.
I'd have to look on Wiki. I'd have to look on Blue Sky somewhere about that. I'd like to see more next year. I'd like to see like a larger space. I think
Mm-hmm.
if anything, like the having game devs be there was actually really cool. Someone else actually like took over some of the PCs to play there to turn on Sonic Rush Rerun, which is another fan game someone's working on, which is like a sort of 3D remake of Sonic Rush.
Mm.
I'd love to be able to see more like Sonic Amateur Games Expo type crews there, like the Sonic Robot Blast guys there. I'm sure they'd love to like pop in. I know AJ Fredder's working on the Sonic Robot Blast 32X port stuff, and they're going to be at Retro World Expo. So I think they'd get a lot more people coming to like some of their talks and stuff if they were there showing off that stuff too.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Wow, what they could just do just an in-person Sage one day. I mean, I guess it's kind of what you could do if you have enough people there, dedicate a corner to it. The Sonic community is a magical land, and it's not just people who are obsessed with Sonic. There are also many talented individuals out there.
I do wonder how many people got into, let's say, engineering from trying to hack Sonic games. And, I'm sort of adjacent there. But then there's also all the people who got into being artists and designers, and they work in sort of the visual arts now because they were drawing Sonic fan art. It's not a small number.
Yeah, a lot of like Spriter's resource is just dedicated for the most part of people now just making custom edits of all sorts of Sonic sprites,
Right.
And various sprites of all kinds, and like that might end up being the next. I don't have any specific the people who made like Rift of the Necro Dancer or something like that, or Night of the Necro, whatever that was, but like that probably was like someone who was just on these Spriter websites, because there's no, it's not like you're really growing up with that stuff nowadays that much. So you probably check that stuff out just by going to Spriter's resource and trying your own sprite edits and stuff like that.
When I was in third grade, I took a computer class at the local community college, and I told the guy who was teaching, like, okay, I want to make a Sonic game. And he said, oh, that's like a lot of work. You're going to have to learn how to program, like, not only all of the game logic, but also like make all the art and stuff. Do you know how to do any of that, or are we starting from scratch here? It's like, I guess we're starting from scratch here. And he's like, well, how about we start with like drawing a line on the screen? And that's about as far as we got that summer.
You should have said, no, we're starting with Green Hill Zone, Act 1. We're going to recreate it. And maybe now you would be at least somewhere in Spring Yard.
Yeah, we had this little thing where you put in like the coordinates of where you wanted a turtle to go, and then it would draw as it moved across the thing. I think the highlight of the class was I made a 4-leaf clover shape with the turtle.
I mean, that's more than I've ever done on a computer. Most I did was open up a hex editor and change the save state so I could go to the hidden palace zone in Sonic 2 and fall to my death. I was like, I could do that. But then the moment anyone went, oh, and now we're going to find secret stuff, I went, I'm out. I don't know. I don't understand the thing. I'll let everyone else do it. And I'll just bask in the glow of lost sprites and hidden levels. Let's make a fan game right now.
Let's do the Sonic Weekly Podcast fan game.
That's right. We could do an episode where we try to come up with the perfect Sonic fan game, and either we do it incredibly sincerely or it immediately goes off the rails, and I don't think there's an in-between.
I don't know. I want like just a weird genre one. Like it's a I don't know, Sonic has to get to the podcast recording on time, and it's just like things keep
that makes sense.
Interfering with that.
Sonic's he's older, he's somewhere in middle age maybe, and he's like, well, Eggman is dead. He died because he was old. And now what do I got to do with my time? Well, I have a podcast, and what do I do in it? Why, I interview people, because what else do you do in a podcast? And every week he He's like, well, if I don't have a guest, I can interview Tails. But there's only so much Tails can say.
I'd love to figure out like what a puzzle game would be for Sonic outside of the
Puyo Puyo.
outside of Puyo Puyo. Like,
mm-hmm.
there's clearly been a few different tests with that Sega Sonic Bros game, that prototype that sort of got out there.
Sonic Eraser.
Yeah, like Sonic Eraser, clearly. But
I'm thinking of like a billiards game, like Sonic. You got to line up some angles and ricochet Sonic off some stuff.
It's when I look back to like the early 90s, and it's just like, all right, every year there was a new different puzzle game with Mario in it. There was like Dr. Mario, and then it was Wario's Woods, and then it was Yoshi's, Mario and Yoshi, and then Yoshi's Cookie, and then Tetris Attack, and then like all these different sort of things, and then it suddenly stopped, and then they've never tried to like make a new unique puzzle game with a Mario thing. Not since then, really. It's just been iterations of Dr. Mario, really.
Right.
But like, what is like a fast-paced Sonic-based puzzle game?
Right.
If it's drop blocks or something, but like, what is it that it's not just Puyo Puyo versus in some way?
Plinko. I don't know. Could you do a puzzle game where it's like it is like a single screen platform level, but you have to drop stuff on it, and then like Sonic just automatically goes, like you have to put a spring somewhere, or you have to put something over spikes so he doesn't die, or I'm just could that be a Sonic puzzle game? I don't know. Like you have to add
a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, like a Rube Goldberg machine thing. Right. There used to be
Choo-choo rocket.
Or something like it, or like a choo-choo rocket, right? Like, yeah, like you tell Sonic where to go, the direction. But yeah, what was the Rube? There was a PC game. Did you say it? That was like a Rube Goldberg thing.
The Incredible Machine.
The Incredible Machine, right? That was something that
game.
I remember everyone being obsessed with it as a kid.
Yeah.
If you had a PC, it was like
there's a very weird Saturn game. That is.
Oh, is this the Incredible Tunes?
Yeah, like they somehow Capcom got the rights to the Incredible Machine and made a Ghouls and Ghosts version of it.
This one, I spent hours and hours hacking on that because there's like English tiles in it, and there's like 9 of them, and I'm like, well, the rest have got to be in here somewhere. But no, there's like just a few screens they translated.
Okay,
wow,
and like they gave up and didn't do the rest.
Maybe it was like
I was convinced. Oh, I'm gonna patch this and we'll have a new English Saturn game.
Yeah. Maybe it was just a case of they half did it for like E3 or something, and then when they actually know.
Yeah. Now, you know what I always did, and I'm sure I'm not the only one as a kid, but whenever I would see credits on a movie or a TV show, I would imagine Sonic like dropping down as they scrolled upward, and like you'd have to navigate a path through so you wouldn't fall all the way down.
Yeah.
Let's make that a whole game. And it's just an increasingly difficult path he has to get through.
Sort of, I guess that's actually Sonic Jump, really, right?
Right.
Except it's not constantly falling down, but like you have to just keep jumping up, and like the bottom
other direction.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's kind of that, and that's just Doodle Jump as well. I was actually just playing. I've had a early look at the new Shinobi game, and there's a level which is everything's falling. You have to keep going up that way, so just do that.
Well, if you, the viewer at home, has any really good ideas for a Sonic puzzle game, you can send them to us, or I guess keep them to yourself and make it a non-Sonic puzzle game and release it and make money. Either or.
If you tell us about it, we may talk about it on another episode of Sonic Weekly.
That's right.
And we're saying that because this one is wrapping up.
Oh yeah, it sure is. We're putting this one inside of a box, and we're wrapping that box up with wrapping paper. It's not Christmas, but all we have is Christmas wrapping paper. And for some reason, it all says 1959 on it. I don't know why. But, either way, that means you did reach the end of another episode of Sonic Weekly. And we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hey, you know what you should do if you haven't already? Subscribe to this podcast using your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for the Android faithful, Podcast Addict. give us a rating, give us a review. But if you reject all podcatchers, we're also over on YouTube at Sonic-Weekly. You could like, comment, and subscribe. And our voices are joined as always with game footage recorded by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. I said you could reach out to us. How do you do that? It's simple. We have an email address, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you're thinking. You can suggest topics that we could record. We do a mailbag section, and the email is the only way you send off and you ask, hey, do you have a Discord? And if so, can I get the link to that? And we'll say yes to both questions. That's right. You can join our Discord server and you can talk to some like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans about many things up to and including Sonic T. Hedgehog. If you've enjoyed it and you're able to, we're over on Ko-fi. That's right, to help offset the cost of production and hosting for this fine podcast you've been listening to. You can throw something into that tip jar, or for $5 a month, you can become one of our esteemed executive producers, just like these 8 fine persons: PigDan, Pabsy, Sonikku, SavingThrows, Belgarion, Alt-Synth, Ratliker63, and Dr. Hate, PhD. We offer you our thanks. But hey, if you're not able to, we just appreciate that you're here listening to us talk about Sonic each and every week, and tell your buddies. They're all welcome. Gotta thank Smoovies for the edit. He knows how to do it. I've seen him do it. Well, I guess I've heard him do it. Well, I mean, I've heard the end result. I've never just been standing in the room listening to him going, yeah, let me edit that. But that's what he does. Thank Ryan once again for joining us, being in the 3rd chair. Really should have added up how many times you've been here, since you are becoming one of the regulars, one of the 4th Sonic heads. Are we a Sonic head? I don't know.
There'll be plenty more.
Check out Sonic the Hedgeblog on your social media platform of choice for cool Sonic stuff every day, right?
Absolutely.
Right. The links to one or all of them should be in the description below. Gotta thank Grant, because even though Grant isn't joining us, he's still hiding out behind the scenes. He still makes sure that this gets uploaded.
He's hitting upload on this podcast, yeah.
Yes, he is hitting upload. So he is behind the button. So we're gonna thank Grant for hitting the button. Thank Grant for hitting all the buttons. And of course, thank you, Bo, for finding something that probably pushes somebody's buttons in a fancy way on the PlayStation.
So much more to get through. Thanks, everybody.